إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، فإن كل محدثات بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار، وإنما توعدون لآت وما أنتم بمعجزين. Greet you all with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and the blessing of Almighty Allah be with you all. I'd like to welcome you all for continuation of our series, Raising Muslim Family. And inshallah, today we're talking segment number 13 in this series, and this concerning التربية الذهنية. And when we're talking about ذهن or ذهنية and تربية, the nourishment of the mind, the brain, the intellectual of the child, how the child can realize certain things, how he can think, how to put the proper things in the proper time, in the proper place, the expression, all these things. So something related to how a child thinking and how we can shape his brain and his mind to be able to be smart, intelligence enough that to function in this life, that how he can think and how to understand and receive message and send a message and to communicate with others. This is something that is very important in the child life. Communication, thinking, realization of things, how to act on the right time, in the right place, with the proper answer or the proper movements. This is something very important. And for us as a parents to help the child to grow in his mind and in his intellect, that we don't want to communicate with the child in a word that does not exist in the dictionary or in the language. Sometimes we try to spoil the children by calling certain things by different names that is not in the language that we are using, or that we try to be funny, that we say the words in a is not in the proper spelling or the proper utilization. This is not healthy for the mind of the child. Okay, we need to give them expression and words that is used and understood and the proper also. Okay, although some parents they may use this sometimes for being funny or to get the kids attention or to be more friendly, but still is not the proper way. There is son, there is deer, there is young man or young girl. There is many ways, all right, that we can try to symbolize, to make things simple for them, but using the proper language with them. So because they're going to be repeating after us and it's going to match what we saying, what they saying. When you go outside to the school, to the street, and they be talking these words, and the people do not understand what they talking about, or that this is not the proper word to be used in a meeting. Things like this. It's very important that we be selective when we talk to our children and talk to them in a proper way, okay, regardless if we are serious or we are joking, that we have to understand how to make things simple and clear, and it can be utilized by them with other people. Also, for teaching a child a language, regardless is the mother language or a different additional language, we have to try to find simple words. Okay, don't start with a hard words or with long sentences, because this is something very important to develop vocabulary for the child. So we give them simple words and simple short sentences to mean what we want, and for them to get the message, and they can also relate in the same manner. Later on, when the child develop and get older, we can have different words, more more in meaning, or more related to the subject, but not to use certain expressions that may be in medical terms, okay? The child is not ready to understand these things. Children can learn words from an early age. Even a child that is still breastfeeding. It's not going to be a lot of words, but it's good that we introduce certain things. When instead, as example, Baba, there is nothing called Baba. There is Abi, Abuka, okay? Asal, Asal, Halib, Laban, certain words, okay? It's simple words. And the child maybe did not understand it, but when you utilize it, okay? As example, a spoon. Now you give him a spoon, okay? You want, this is sugar, this is honey, okay? Spoon of honey, spoon, and this is honey. So now he will relate because he see something in your hand. So although he doesn't know what the word spoon, but now he will relate. When he hears these words again, he will understand what you're talking about. So using illustration and using your hands and using some tools with the words, even for little child will understand, okay? Seeing the cat as example, be scaring the cat. Say the cat, nice, nice, this is a cat, cat. Okay, so, or it's very important that we introduce him to words, Allah, Allah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. So Allah, Allah, say Allah, Allah, and keep repeating the words many times in front of him in a certain occasion. Allahu Akbar, Salah, Salah. So will be simple words, and don't look or under under undermines, he understands the capability of the child, because he can catch things, but he may could not believe this or imagine this. But for you to repeat it after a time of repetition, he will know Allahu Akbar, Salah, Allahu Akbar, Salah. Okay? All right. This is something very important. We need to talk about, this was a whole chapter, we talk about it, but we only going to send one line about it. To be very careful what we feed in the children, okay? healthy food, proper rules and regulation about eating, be concerned about time of sleeping and waking up, because all these things contribute to the mind and the brain and the thinking and making decision. So the تغذية and the feeding and the proper sleeping and the proper resting, okay, is something very important, because it's going to have something to do also with the thinking and with the mind. So we make tarbiyah, okay, to the mind, but the food that we given and the resting and the sleeping hours, all these things will have effect on the child brain. Sometimes we have to repeat things more than one time in an early age for the child to understand it and comprehend it, and this is no problem with this. It's very important to understand that we don't have to rush to put our children with babysitters, or what you may call early schooling, all right? And basically because we concern about the father go to work and the mother go to work. This is not good. The child need and drink and eat and understand from the parents, because the babysitter or the what you call this early school is not actually school, is a babysitter, okay, in a former place to play and other kids there, but this not age of schooling. So let's the first few years of the child age 4 and 5 to be remaining in the house with the parents, not to trust somebody else to be dealing with your children in early age, because this is going to have a lot of impact on the way how they think, how they behave, how they understand. In an early age, okay, that we can start to introduce to them the word madrasa and the school, and telling them, okay, when you get bigger, you're going to go to school. So don't surprise them with the school, because it's going to be now learning and going to be more organized and more in time. And maybe understand will be little bit heavy for them to take it. So it is very important with the age of 4 and 5 we start to introduce the idea of the school, see a picture of a school, see your brother and your sisters, they go to school. So the child try to get ideas there is some other place for education, and it's good, because okay, so we'll be telling them something good also about the school, that you're going to play, going to study, you're going to have your own desk and your own chair, and you will have a teacher, you get a book, you're going to color, you're going to play, and you're going to study. So introduction of the school, instead of surprising the child and putting that child in the school, the fear, the unwelcome in the school idea it not been introduced to him, and in the first week the crying, all these things has impact on the brain and the mind of the child. We need to avoid these things. Sometimes we see that the children has a good ability in different subject, maybe math or memorization of words. Okay, this is good, but we need to strengthen this more and try to introduce other things, okay, so he can have some kind of a balance in the way how he think. So you find a child is very good to multiply or to count numbers, but is not good in learning the letters or recognize the letters. Okay, there is nothing wrong to keep them going with his strength in math, but you need to develop the child also in wording and spelling. So it can be there is a balance in the way how he behaving and acting and answer questions. It's very important that we introduce Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in an early age for them. Memorization of Surah Ikhlas, Surah Al-Asr, Surah Fatiha, things like this. A basic stories about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba, and how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a shepherd and he watched over the sheep, and to introduce religious ideas to them in a different ways, reading books, showing some pictures, and what is a lamb, what is sheep, and how the Prophet ﷺ used to take care of this things is something very important. It's very important that we keep our children as much as we can from these movies and the TVs and the things that is it doesn't relate to our belief, because the things it will take over the way how they thinking, the way how they behaving, the way how they relate, the way even they say certain words back to you. So it's very important that we keep these things away from them as much as possible, as much as possible. If we're going to let them watch something, we have to be selective in what they watch. We could not give them an iPad or give them a cell phone and let them choose whatever they want. This is not the tarbiyah. This is not the way how they're going to be raised as Muslims, if you're concerned about raising them as Muslims. It's very important that we have meetings with our children, like weekly, as example, at least, if could not be every day, to review things that you try to introduce it in their life. If it's numbers or words or a proper behavior or a proper way how to say it or a short surah. These things is very important, and we let them to see how much they accommodate and how much they memorize, how much they grasp from what we're trying to give them, not keeping giving them new words, new surahs, new chapters. We want to have a review for them at least once a week to sit and talk about things like this. Sometimes they may find a button, a bulletin, or button a drawing or a card to remind the child, okay? A picture, somebody entering the bathroom, and there is a X on it, and there is a check mark. Enter with the right foot, X on it. And the other side of the bathroom, I enter bathroom what with the left foot, and things can be related to the subject that we try to teach them, or that they keep forgetting, and put the signs so they can see it in different times and different places from the house. Let's give our children the freedom and the ability to ask questions. Okay? They ask a question. They're curious about different things. And let's try to make things simple for them. Okay? Simple for them to understand. Especially about something, okay, why? Zohar is 4 rak'at as example. Okay? You don't have a proper, you don't have answer for them. Neither you want to say, but you're going to have to find a way to let them know this the way how Allah designed it, and this what Allah knows that good for us, and that we follow what Allah telling us instead of shutting them with no answer, or the way you understand Allah gave it to us this way. But the bottom line is yes, this is how Allah gave it to us to be 4 rak'at. But let him know, small introduction about Allah, He's the one who chooses for us because he knows how good it is for us, so he can get some answer about what he asking. We don't want our children to be getting their answers from somebody else outside of the house, that they have the wrong idea and the wrong answer to them. Ask your children about what did you learn today in the school, who did you meet in the mosque, okay? This thing is very important to know how your child acting outside, with whom they play, with whom they talk, what did they talk about it, okay? And in a way, not that you trying to be spying or them or making investigation and court, and no, but out of curiosity. How is your day today? Did you see your friends? Who are your friends? What is their names? Are they Muslims? Are they not Muslims? Did you talk to them about Allah? Things like this. So we don't want, so we can filter what they heard from others in that day. Let's try to always talk to our children. Be open with our children. Try to have a communication between us and them. And this what I'm saying again and emphasize about the necessity of the mother to be always home. The father go outside to bring the food, to be able to pay the rent. And the mother, she have a greater job towards educating and raising the child. So we are not going to minimize this thing, okay? We have to understand the necessity of a mother to be there, always in the house, to be the source of the information, the source of, to be example in the behavior, to be the one who answering the question. We could not leave our children for the TV, for the babysitter, for the public school, and after this, we're crying that our children are not practicing their deen, or they went astray, they smoking cigarette, the boys go with girls, they talking about girlfriends and boyfriends. You see, this because if we did not put the proper foundation in the early time, we're going to lose them. We need to choose the schools that we put our children in it. We need to know who's their teachers. And this to bring also about the necessity of building or finding Islamic schools with Muslim teachers, okay? I may say that especially in place like in America, I feel the necessity of Islamic school more than a mosque. And there is no problem to use the mosque as a place for prayer and also a place for education, okay? But the necessity of Islamic school is something very important to frame the brain of our and the mind of our children, how they answer, how they talk, how they think, how they understand, build their ability to memorize things, and what's more important, what is not important. We have to know where our children go in the weekend. It's not enough, Ma, I'm going to visit my friend, you understand, I'm going to spend the night there for the weekend. We have to be always there in their life about what they're doing. Selecting the school, selecting the company, okay? The activities, the trips, where they go, the weekend, where they spending with, and what they're doing. These things is very important. It's important that we put our children in Hifz school, part-time Hifz school at least, all right, to occupy their time after they finish the regular school, okay? And there is in many places in America, alhamdulillah, in Chicago, in Texas, and in Florida, you found after the full-time school, Islamic school, they go to Hifz school. Because the children, they have energy more than me and you. And you have to keep their time occupied as much as you can. We are not saying do this day and night. Okay? But if you are not going to use the leisure time, they're going to occupy it with the TV and with other people you don't appreciate to know them even. The Quran will help them a lot of memorizing the other subjects that they learn in the school, because they are going to have a good memory and a blessing. So their mind is clear and is willing. So let them memorize Quran. At least they have 2 days, 2 hours every day. Excuse me. It's very important that we use other things that to make them more smarter, like mathematic problems, okay, quiz, and keep them away from things that doesn't go with any kind of benefit for them. Okay, if it's the stories, or try to finally understand something is not going to benefit them anything. Okay, but there is games that they play it that can help their memory and their thinking. This is the things that we want them to be occupied in. Will be better also that they do something to build something, to manufacturing something, to try to discover something. Sometimes we have to give them projects, even if they don't know how to put it together. Okay? You tell them, try to read it and see how you're going to build this as a house. Okay? Or how you're going to reach to the end of this. Give them something that they have to be exercised for the mind. Okay? This to help them to strengthen their ability to think and to find a different solution for the same problem, more than one solution. We need to get to know about our children, how they think, how smart they are, their weakness, the positive points about them, and they try to increase or to help the point of weakness in their personality. It's very important that we develop a strong Muslim child. It is our duty as a parents. We are responsible. We have to be responsible about the children, okay, more than we're responsible about having the proper house and the proper ride and the proper dress code, all these things. We need to have a child with a good inside, not only the outside. So we need to, the heart, the mind, the brain, the soul, the inside that make him to be a human being, with the term of a human being. Compassionate, merciful, kind, gentle, respectable, smart, willing to help, to assist, not a lazy, not to understand. This what we are. This is the reason that we are parents. Parents does not mean having children and this it. You know that cows and horses and all these things, they multiply. So we are not here a machine to multiply and give something, moving things on the ground. No, we are here to develop this child by the will of Allah to be Abdullah and Amatullah. Continue tomorrow, inshallah, if I will, about raising Muslim family. Thank you for being here. If anybody have correction, feel free that you can correct it on the spot. جزاكم الله خيرا. Thank you for being here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك and Allah knows best.